This is something that I've struggled with for a long time, and I still am struggling to resolve, but I probably do have a lot more self-respect than some people, and other people have a lot less self-respect than me. So I live by the principle there is more than one way to skin a cat. So to determine if someone lacks self-respect, you could either use discernment, which is what a lot of people would preferably like to use, but there's also judgment. There's a lot of people who are judgmental. I used to be very judgmental, and this is something that we always have to work on. Some people are more judgmental than others. Some people have better discernment than others. And there's other variations, such as the vibes. People can pick up on the vibes. Some people discredit this and call this being sensitive. So there's usually at least two ways to look at something. You could look at one single thing as good or evil, light or dark, positive or negative. So if I see someone's house is literally full of cat shit and rubbish everywhere, the person clearly has a lack of self-respect. Someone like me, I used to communicate with these types of people, and it makes me kind of feel sick now being so kind to these people and being their friend, because it's like, do I have any self-respect by hanging out with these people? It's not like they were like the beggars that Jeebus Christophagus used to say, hey, give to the poor. I actually, on a couple of occasions, lent my car to certain people because I believed in the scripture, and I still do, that I can't remember on the top of my head, but it was basically help people in need. The problem with helping people in need and the whole act of love and giving is that love in itself is a self-sacrificing emotion. It, in a sense, destroys itself. And the more you destroy yourself, the more you actually kind of love the other person. But the problem is with humankind is we have limitation. And so there's only so much we can actually give. There's only so much we can love. And if we bring ourselves to a point where we actually start associating with with people who are self-destructive, and we actually partake in those self-destructive habits, and we give to these people who keep on taking but never give anything back, kind of like throwing pearls to swine, this is an indicator that we ourselves are the ones who lack self-respect, because you're hanging out with people who clearly lack it more than you. And these people take advantage of your kindness. These people, and these can often be times women and men. It doesn't really matter about the sex. Now, this doesn't mean that these same people don't have goodness in their hearts. They may actually be, from an empathetic lens, be struggling severely. But these people, at some point, they really do just choose to be that way. They actually do fall in love with their own suffering. And I actually call this romanticized escapism, because it's actually more painful to not live in that hell of a lifestyle. It's actually more painful to respect yourself, because your whole identity is based on the chaos or the filth that surrounds you. You have friends who are self-destructive. You have all kinds of chaos going on in your life. One of the easiest examples I can use to visualize this is when you're walking outside in your common, city. Maybe you live in Australia, and many people's houses are quite luxurious in comparison to the rest of the world. And then when you see a house, ironically, that has a really messy yard, it's unkept, you know that person, you can see into that person's mind. And a part of us would like to judge that person and say, what a messy yard, etc. Another person might understand on an empathetic level that maybe this person does have a lot going on. They put too much on their plate, they're biting off more than they could chew, and they can't even afford to get a gardener to help them clean the yard. But the visual surroundings of a person's life are an indicator of what a person actually thinks in their mind. If someone has scars, a lot of people judge that as being attention seeking. Some people might do that. Some people might be, borderline personality disorder, or they think of themselves in that way. And because they identify with that, they carry out certain behaviors that are extremely destructive to those around them and they themselves. And it's very easy to judge that person and say, you know what, there's no hope for her. She is a slut. And in a sense, she does bring upon the crap upon herself if she does those types of things. But with discernment, we can also see that maybe the same person, deep down, they're just like a scared dog and they don't know what else to do. Had they known anything else, would they have not done something differently? The thing about discernment here and dealing with people who lack severe lack of self-respect is you must not put yourself in harm's way when interacting with certain people like this. You must not put your livelihood at stake. And so this is where I come in with my tree analogy, is where you are a tree and you have to love yourself like a tree. And the neighboring tree, this could be a chaotic person, you have to give them the residue from your tree as the type of love that you need to give, rather than cutting off this whole stump and putting that at risk to try and make this tree grow when this tree is never going to grow that way. It'll actually hate you even more if you try and do that. So you can only give it the proper residue. And another thing about self-respect, or the lack thereof, is that when you yourself lack self-respect, you tend to kind of be like a magnet and you might interact with people who also lack self-respect and they disrespect you. And so out of your kindness and your love for this person, you let them have your car, but you did that because you came from a place of lack of self-respect. You should have just said no. And actually, by saying no more often, by the way, that actually does increase your respect. As long as it's not abrasive, it's not harsh, it's not bullying, etc. It's just a proper solid no with a proper, just basically saying you're not in a position. This is my favorite way to say no, actually. You're not in a position that enables you to say yes. That is my favorite way to say no at this time. And by saying this, you can increase respect. It's not like this magnificent fireworks of a show. It's just something simple that you can use in the moment to kind of actually escape from a person's chaos.